Love after 60. If a man secretly misses you, these three things always happen.
Welcome to Wise Life After 60. So grateful to have you here. If a man truly misses you, he won't come right out and say it. He won't send long emotional messages or pour out his heart in words. That's not how male psychology works, especially in love after 60. A man's longing doesn't live in conversation. It shows up in behavior, in energy, in the quiet ways his world starts to bend toward you. Even when he tries to hide it, his mind begins to replay moments. His habits shift, and his presence lingers in subtle ways that reveal more than any confession ever could. Most women spend so much time waiting for clear declarations or analyzing messages that they overlook the real signs. The three consistent behaviors that always appear when a man is secretly thinking of you. These aren't random acts or vague hints. They are predictable emotional patterns rooted in genuine attachment. Once you learn to see them, you'll stop wondering whether he's moved on or still cares, because his actions will speak for him. The truth is, men aren't emotionally unavailable. They've just been taught to express differently. Real masculine longing doesn't talk, it moves. And when you learn to read that language, confusion turns into clarity, and doubt into quiet confidence. If this kind of reflection speaks to you, I'd love for you to like this video, subscribe, and stay close to our little community here on Wise Life After 60. Now, let's take a deeper look at the difference between how men and women experience missing someone. The difference between how men and women miss someone. Have you ever noticed that when a woman misses someone, her first instinct is to reach out, to speak, to connect? But when a man misses someone, he often grows quieter. That silence can be deeply confusing. It can feel like absence, rejection, or disinterest. But in truth, men and women are wired to process longing in profoundly different ways. When a woman misses someone, her emotions move toward language. Her brain seeks connection as a way to find relief. She wants to share, to talk, to turn her feelings into something she can hold and understand. In that moment, communication becomes medicine. It's how she soothes herself, how she stays emotionally alive. The more she speaks, the lighter she feels. But for a man, missing someone activates an entirely different system. His brain doesn't rush toward words, it moves toward action. When longing hits, the prefrontal cortex, the part of his mind that plans and problem solves, lights up. He doesn't sit in the emotion, he analyzes it. He wonders what he can do about it. Should he call? Should he wait? Should he find a reason to appear without appearing too obvious? His longing becomes a map he studies, rather than a story he tells. That's why when a man is missing you, he may seem distant or distracted. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he's translating emotion into movement. Men don't speak their longing, I once wrote in my journal. They calculate it. It's not coldness, it's a different form of protection. They feel, but they process through logic, through timing, through strategy. And while women release their emotions through conversation, men try to contain theirs through control. There's also a biological rhythm beneath it all. When a man misses someone, dopamine stirs his motivation, urging him to move toward the person he desires. Testosterone drives him to prove his worth through effort and reliability. His hormones don't push him to talk about feelings, they push him to do something about them. That's why a man's missing doesn't sound like "I miss you." It looks like fixing something, showing up, helping quietly, or holding back just enough to keep his pride intact. But beneath that control lies fear. the fear of rejection, of vulnerability, of losing power in the emotional dynamic. So instead of saying "I miss you," he hides it behind restraint, behind logic, behind small, careful actions. But no matter how much he tries to disguise it, longing always leaks through behavior. And when it does, three unmistakable signs begin to appear, signals so consistent that once you recognize them, you'll never confuse silence with indifference. Because in love after 60, actions speak the language that words forgot, and the first whisper of that language is about to unfold. Let's look at what happens when his quiet heart begins to orbit yours.
Thing number 1. He starts to orbit your world. You might notice it first in the smallest ways. He starts to appear again, quietly, almost like a shadow re-entering your light. You see his name pop up while watching your stories, liking an old picture, or asking mutual friends how you've been. Maybe you bump into him somewhere familiar and he acts surprised, as if fate had arranged the meeting. But deep down, you know it wasn't a coincidence. It was a choice disguised as chance. This is what psychologists call proximity seeking, the natural instinct to stay close to someone who still matters. When a man misses you, his longing translates into orbiting behavior. He wants to be near your world without stepping too close. He can't quite let go, but he's not ready to confess either. So he circles, careful, curious, hopeful. It's his way of maintaining a connection while protecting his pride. I once knew a woman named Laura who hadn't spoken to her old companion for months. Then suddenly, she noticed his quiet presence everywhere. He began commenting on her posts, asking small questions about places they used to visit, even showing up at their favorite cafe. He never said he missed her, but his actions spoke louder than any message could. Laura smiled one day and told me, "He orbits because it feels safer than falling." And she was right. When men orbit like this, it's not manipulation, it's a vulnerability in disguise. He's trying to see if the door to your heart is still open without risking rejection. Every interaction, every digital footprint is a way of saying, "I'm still here, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to be." Beneath his silence lives both fear and hope. Fear of being unwanted, hope of being remembered. This behavior also reveals a subtle truth about masculine attachment. Unlike women, men often need physical or visual proximity to reconnect emotionally. By showing up near you, whether online or in person, he rekindles the emotional imprint you left on him. Familiarity softens the distance, giving him the courage to take the next step. When you notice this pattern happening, pause for a moment before reacting. Don't rush to assume, confront, or chase. Observe. Because the man who's orbiting you is communicating in the only language his heart knows, one of small, deliberate motions instead of grand declarations. When a man misses you, his body moves first. His words come much later. Tell me in the comments, have you ever noticed someone reappearing in your life this way? Not with words, but with presence. I'd love to hear how you handled it and what it revealed to you about human connection. Because when you start to recognize these orbits for what they are, not confusion, but cautious affection, you stop feeling powerless. You start seeing the truth that's been circling you all along. And as his orbit tightens, his next signal begins to emerge. His communication begins to shift, revealing what his silence has been hiding.
Thing number 2. His communication patterns change. It often begins unexpectedly. A simple message, a comment, a familiar tone that feels like déjà vu. The man who once grew quiet starts to reach out again, but not in the way he used to. His communication softens, deepens, and bends toward memory.
This is one of the clearest signs that he's truly missing you, though he may not even realize he's revealing it. The first change often appears in timing. His messages arrive late at night or early in the morning when distractions fade and emotions rise to the surface. Those are the hours when the heart speaks more honestly than the mind allows. It's not a coincidence. It's an emotional impulse. When he writes you at 11 p.m. just to ask how you've been, it isn't small talk. It's the mind reaching for what the soul still craves. Then comes the content. He starts recalling details, your shared jokes, the little rituals that once belonged only to you both. This is what psychologists call memory reconsolidation, when the brain reactivates old emotional memories in an attempt to make sense of lingering attachment. By bringing up something the two of you shared, he's unconsciously trying to feel close again. It's nostalgia mixed with unfinished emotion. You'll notice, too, a shift in his language. He may use we or us more than before, as if the bond between you never completely unraveled. His tone becomes more genuine, less rehearsed, less guarded. The words may still be few, but they carry weight, honesty, and warmth. He might ask questions that seem simple like, "Have you been okay?" or "Did you ever go back to that place we liked?" But beneath each lies the same truth. He's still emotionally invested. And perhaps most revealing of all is how he ends conversations. He never closes the door fully. His goodbyes come wrapped in open-ended invitations like, "Talk soon," or "Keep me posted." These aren't throwaway lines. They're small emotional threads meant to hold you in his orbit a little longer. Each one is a quiet promise of continuation, even if he doesn't consciously plan it that way. Because missing someone, for a man, is never just silence or distance. It's a quiet conversation between his heart and his pride, between what he wants to say and what he fears to reveal. And as those two sides wrestle within him, his next instinct begins to awaken, the need to do something about it.
Thing number 3. He makes himself useful. The unspoken language of care. Sometimes the most powerful "I miss you" comes disguised as a small act of service. When a man misses you, his longing often transforms into usefulness. He may not confess his feelings, but he'll find ways to show up. He'll fix something, offer advice, or find an excuse to help. It's not manipulation or strategy, it's instinct. Deep inside, every man carries a provider's code, an urge to express affection by making life easier for the person he cares about. I once met a woman named Ellen who told me about her old friend Jack. They hadn't spoken in months, after drifting apart quietly. One day, her car broke down, and without even asking, Jack appeared in her driveway. He said he just happened to be in the area. But when he stayed an hour after fixing it, checking every little detail, Ellen realized what was really happening. He didn't come for the car. He came because helping her made him feel connected again. She smiled and said to me later, "A man doesn't say, 'I miss you.' He shows it by making your world easier." When a man helps you like this, it's more than kindness. It's his way of reaffirming his value, of reminding both himself and you that he still belongs in your story. This is what psychology calls attachment through action.
His brain releases dopamine and oxytocin when his effort meets your appreciation. That combination creates a feedback loop that reinforces his emotional bond with you. It's not about control or ego, it's about connection. Helping becomes his language of love, his bridge between pride and tenderness. You'll notice he remembers small details you once mentioned, like your favorite tea, or that you've been struggling to move a piece of furniture. He'll bring it up casually, then take care of it before you can ask. These gestures aren't random. They are quiet attempts to re-enter your emotional space without forcing the door open. Every time he chooses to help, he's saying, "I'm still here if you need me," even when the words never leave his lips. If you've ever experienced something like this, where someone reappeared in your life, not with apologies or declarations, but with small acts of care, I'd love to hear about it. Share it in the comments, because these stories remind us that love after 60 doesn't need grand gestures. It lives in subtle, consistent action. When you recognize this behavior for what it is, you begin to see the hidden language of masculine longing. You realize that behind every helpful gesture lies a quiet hope. Behind every offer of assistance, a desire to stay close. And as this pattern unfolds, one truth becomes undeniable. When a man truly misses you, he doesn't just think about you, he rearranges his world around the thought of you. And in that rearranging, one final understanding emerges. A lesson not about him, but about you. About how awareness can return your peace and your quiet power.
In the end, when a man truly misses you, his feelings can't stay hidden for long. They surface through rhythm, not words. You'll see it in the way he keeps orbiting your world, quietly positioning himself closer to your life as if drawn by gravity. You'll hear it in the way his communication shifts, suddenly more personal, more tender, carrying pieces of memory that still live inside him. And you'll feel it in the way he becomes useful again, offering small acts of care that say far more than any confession ever could. These three patterns never appear by accident. Together, they reveal the silent architecture of male longing. He doesn't declare, he demonstrates. He doesn't beg to be remembered, he proves it through consistency. That's the secret of mature love after 60. It doesn't need noise to be real. It shows up quietly, day after day, through choices and effort. So stop searching for words. Start reading actions. Don't let hope blind you to what behavior already shows. The truth of someone's heart is always revealed in the direction of their effort. When a man misses you, you'll see it. When he doesn't, you'll feel the absence just as clearly. Both are answers. One brings warmth, the other, wisdom. And remember, your worth has never depended on who misses you. Whether he circles back or fades away, your value remains steady, untouchable, complete. The most magnetic woman is the one grounded in her worth, not in anyone's attention. She knows that love is never about being chased, but about being seen for who she truly is. If this video helped you understand male psychology a little deeper, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.